check out this beauty behind me. We got 8th month 1988, and there's not much going on with this vehicle. This is about as basic as you can get, but it's a great blank canvas, and young Jack owns this vehicle behind us, and it's an absolute gem. It really is. He's had it for about 7 years. About 4 or 5 years ago he had the paint done on this one, so he's had a respray on it, and it's holding up pretty well. There's a couple of little tiny spots that he probably needs to address, because he does use it. It is a daily driver, but it is such a blank canvas, and he's got big plans for it. He wants to go touring in this vehicle. He wants to kit it out, but he's got to get a few things right, and that's why he's here, Mr Landcruiser, before he goes on to do major works on it. But just check it out. Up the front there, we've got what I think is a TJM aluminium bull bar. We've got some sun raisers, some pretty bog standard tyres, and other than that, this is a G pack. So this is what we call a POV pack, a poverty pack. But trust me, when you bought these things back in the day, if you're a POV, you definitely couldn't afford one. But still, it comes with the basics. So you've got a vinyl interior. You've got the barn doors at the back. You haven't got any sliding windows on the rear windows. You've got the quarter glass. Even this late in 1988, you've still got the quarter glass windows in the front doors. And it's got a pretty rough rear bar, but it's all still there. It's just surface rust. But that is pretty much it on the outside. But what I do know is that we love your comments, Aid Larson. It does need a sun visor, some splitties, and a set of firelight spotties up the front there, because halogens are superior, aren't they, Aid? That's a nice one, mate. It would definitely set this vehicle off. Anyway, let's go under the bonnet and see what's going on under there and see why it's here at Mr Landcruiser. Right, check it out under here. You can definitely see that it was just a shut door paint job under here. You can see the old paint below where the bonnet would be shut, basically, hence the shut door paint job. But it's bog standard under here. What I will say is there's still a lot of blue paint on the engine, which means that it hasn't had a hard life, probably hasn't been that hot in its life, or done much beach work. Now, it's got a electronic rust protection, and I reckon it's done a pretty good job considering it's not even plugged in, because there's not a lot of rust on this vehicle. Now, why was it in here at Mr Landcruiser? Now, he's been having intermittent problems with the charging system and the battery system, so he's going around in circles. He has actually just fitted a new starter motor. He didn't know at home himself. He didn't know if that was anything to do with it, because it seemed to happen after he'd done that. But we've done a few tests on it. We've done a drop test on the battery. We've checked the voltage coming out the alternator, and then we've shut it all down, and we've done a parasitic leak test on it. So basically, we take the negative terminal off of the battery, and we use a multimeter between the two, and we check the amps that are being drawn away from the battery when the key's not in, the ignition's off, there are no electrics on in the vehicle. Immediately we got 2.5 amps of parasitic drain. So that's quite big, actually. Usually a bulb sort of about just under an amp, and that's a filament bulb just under an amp or something like that. So it's quite a considerable amount of current draw. So we've gone through the main things, and immediately I go to when it's that large, I go to the alternator. We've pulled the main terminal, and you can already see it sparking as I'm pulling the terminal off the battery. And as soon as I take the ring terminal off the battery, boom, the multimeter just goes to 0. It's not pulling anything, so we know it's a. Now I will say, the diode block was gone in his old alternator, so he's blown the diodes, and that usually occurs if someone reverses the polarity somehow. Maybe when he was doing the starter motor, or he might have got the terminals round the wrong way at some point, but that is usually the main cause of blowing the diode block out on one of these old alternators. So just be wary when you're working on your cars at home. Just make sure that you double check before you put your terminals back on, or before you put the terminals on your starter motor or anything like that. So we've got a brand new alternator in here, new vacuum pump on the back. We've also replaced the oil feed line to there, because it was just weeping out the oil feed lines as well. So he's back on the road, he's charging perfectly, and he has no amp draw out the battery whatsoever when it's sitting there. So he's going to be all good to go. Look, there's not much to say more about under the bonnet here, other than it's It's such a cool rig. This is the best blank canvas once again. Again, there's not much to talk about inside this vehicle, but it does have a fairly clean roof lining. It's missing a lens from the lights in here, but I do want to go on about the plus side of having vinyl interior in these vehicles. So we got a vinyl floor covering, we've got vinyl seats under these covers, vinyl seats in the back, vinyl door cards. Now, if you're full driving, if you're going to the beach a lot, any of that kind of stuff, they are the most practical surfaces to have in your car, because you can just blow it out. Nothing gets caught in that sort of shag carpet in the VXs and the carpet in the GXs and all that. So it's just really easy to just blow it out, even wash it out with detergent and that, take the bungs out, and it can just the water can just freely drop onto the floor through the holes. It's a really good way of cleaning your car. The dash does have a couple of rips in it. Actually, it has more than a couple of rips in it, but he's got this cover on there covering all that up. But again, bog standard dashboard. It's got the brown colour. So whoa, I'm actually running out of things to say because there is not much going on in this vehicle. But it's interesting, right? So it's not just about the big leery vehicles that have got the big wheels, roof racks, bull bars, all that kind of stuff. It's also about showing off what is out there, what you can buy, where you can get a car to a stage, then start building it up into a tourer the way you want to. So anyway, hang on a minute. Anyway, I just found something under here. We got an original Gregory's service repair manual. Definitely something you need if you own a Land Cruiser, that's for sure. And check this out. This is very cool. I mean, I'm even going to open it up. Have a look inside here. I don't think it's a full kit, so there should be a 10, 12, 14, 17 spanner in there as well, but this is the tool to get your tyre back. You wind the tyre down that's sitting up underneath the vehicle. It's all there. Looks like it's fairly used as well, but that's very cool. And that sits under the passenger seat normally. But yeah, you know, that's about it in here. I've got nothing more to say. Anyway, let's wrap this up. Right, it's great to see this vehicle. It's the first time visitor to Mr Landcruiser. Jack, the owner, is a young lad. It's great to see the enthusiasm that's going into these things with the young lads in the community. I really want to see how this thing pans out and where Jack goes with building it up to a tourer. Hopefully he's got thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of kilometres ahead of him. And why wouldn't you in this little beauty? 8th month, 1988, HJ60.
Oh, maybe they can